was born and raised in New Albany. Left here and went to the University of Southern Mississippi after I graduated from high school. Oh, I played football, baseball, basketball. I played them all. Started around 6.
Playing Little League?
Playing Little League, yes.
Who were some of the coaches that you remember from those early days?
Oh, you know, my dad helped out, Bobby Howe and Cootie Foster and Spencer Holmes' dad. Mostly the dads were the ones that coached us.
Yeah. What were your parents' names?
My daddy's name was Bobby Howe. My mother's name is Ann Wages. I was probably 15. I graduated a year early. So, you know, I started to grow. You don't have many 6'5", 280 guys running around New Albany, Mississippi. So at that point, I could always run well. And at that point, I kind of thought I may have at least an opportunity to play at a small college anyway.
Yeah. What were some of the highlights of your high school football career?
You know, I won a lot of individual awards. Our team was not very good back then. I think we won 3 ball games in 4 years. We went through a tough spell.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good linemen. We just didn't really have any running backs and quarterbacks, and you know, we just playing against a lot of good football teams, and we didn't win a whole lot. My junior year, while I was at Southern Miss, I was selected as a second-team All-American, and in the first team my senior year.
So talk a little bit about your college football career.
Went to Southern Miss and really enjoyed the campus. It just kind of drew me there. I had an opportunity to play at several places. I chose to go to Southern Miss. I was redshirted my first year. The second play of my second year, our starting right tackle got hurt, and I became the starter from that point on. Played 4 straight years.
Did y'all have a good record?
Yes, we played in 3 bowl games. We only lost 8 games in 4 years. We were very, very good.
Who was your coach?
Bobby Collins was our head coach my first 3 years, and then he left and went to SMU. Jim Carmody took over, who was our defensive coordinator my last 2 years.
And looking back at your football and sports career, how is coaching how did it make you successful?
You know, I was very lucky. I had some really good offensive line coaches, even all the way up when I got into the pros. You know, coach makes you who you are. Now, you got to have the heart and the desire to do the work, but they really, really can put you over the top, and that's kind of what I had here. You know, in Southern Miss and on into Atlanta Falcons and all my offensive linemen, I just got real lucky and had really good coaches.
When you're looking back at when you grow up, where you grew up and when you grew up, how did the community support make a difference for you?
Well, the stand was full every Friday night, whether we won or lost. You know, sports pulls a community together. It doesn't matter whether it's soccer, baseball, football, basketball. Everybody looks forward to going and pulling for the high school team. Want them to do well because they know the majority of them. But you know, we had great support here of them, even though we weren't very good.
Yeah. And did those supporters continue to come see you at the University of Southern?
Absolutely. You know, my mother never missed a ball game.
Yeah.
She was coming all the time, and there was friends coming with her.
Yeah.
You know, we had a lot of supporters. We played Ole Miss and Mississippi State every year back in those days, so we had a lot of supporters there because, you know, the majority of the people around here pull for either Ole Miss or Southern. I mean, Ole Miss or Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And so I got to see a lot of old friends and a lot of people from the community from New Albany.
Were you the only New Albany athlete on the Southern team?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was the only one.
When did you discover that the pros were looking at you?
there again my junior year. Like I said, I'd been redshirted, so I'd been there 3 years. Going into my 4th year, I started getting a lot of letters in the mail from a lot of different NFL teams. Rankings of where I was at that time as far as offensive tackles in the country. Just they put a lot of information they sent me, which was very good. For me, I never really thought I was that good of a football player. But once I got there, I figured out that I belonged there.
Yeah. So what's life like as a National Football League player?
Well, it's when you're going through it, you've started at such a young age. Football is just football. It's what we do. That's all I knew. As you grow a little older, it becomes a little more important to you.
Yeah.
Just from the standpoint of, I'm kind of in the sales world. It opens a lot of doors for me that I probably wouldn't have not been able to get through.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't trade anything that I did. I wouldn't change a thing. It absolutely acted. It happened just like it was supposed to.
So what do you do today? What's your occupation?
I work with a company called Core in Maine, and I've been a salesman for them for 25 years. I am now a district manager, and I have 3 states, but I was on the road selling to utility contractors. I hunt and fish a lot all over the world.
Really?
Yeah, my passion is duck hunting. Fishing comes a close second, and then everything else is kind of after that as far as hunting is concerned. But yeah, I do a lot of it. I love still just going and watching our high school team play.
Yeah.
Watching our junior high team play. I'm just and it doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, or basketball. I support our hometown there in Cabot, Arkansas.
Yeah.
We are a 7A school. They've got, turf and tracks, and they got all the goodies. But it's really, I really enjoy that as much as anything.
Well, from your perspective and your history, how would you classify sports today as far as helping kids, whether they go on to play National League or whether they stop it when they're in high school? What does it do for you?
Well, it does a lot for you. It builds your confidence for life. It teaches you life lessons the hard way without, having a car wreck and killing somebody. You get embarrassed out there, but there's also, you have the good times.
Yeah.
It's really, I just believe that all young men and women ought to play sports. It's a good interaction with other people their age. They learn the game, highs and the lows, but it makes you kind of who you are. We went through a rough time when I was here, but a few years after that, they were winning everything. So, it's just all about the team.
Yeah, teamwork.
Teamwork,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was actually in my dorm room in Southern Miss. I didn't graduate until May of 1984. The draft was in February, so that's the longest day of my life. You kind of know where your ranking is. They kind of got you projected what round you might go. And they were expecting me to go somewhere between the 3rd and the 4th. I was the 5th ranked tackle in the country. It didn't happen that way. I went in the 9th.
Yeah, so you had a long wait.
Had a long wait.
Yeah.
They have to have a phone number where you are. I probably got 25 phone calls from teams. Oh, we may pick you this next round, It's just a long, long day. If I had it to do over, I would not. I'd just wait and watch it on ESPN. I got tired of those calls because you just think this is it, and then your rug gets pulled out from you again. But,
Who all was in that room waiting with you?
It was me and my mother and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife.
Yeah.
The news media started calling. I had to do numerous interviews. But other than that, as far as the NFL is concerned, Really nothing. You kind of have they really don't get started back till around May. So, we get into the end of April, a lot of correspondence coming to me from Atlanta Falcons. Here's what time you need to be here, here's where we are, here's the things you need to bring with you, here's the things you need to be doing between now and then. And then as we got closer, the phone calls picked up, wanting to know if I'd still been working out, and here's your workout program, and so on and so forth. So we have a mini camp in May, and that's really where I got all the stuff that I really need to. That's where we had to do our first physical type stuff, where you do you have to weigh in, and you got to run a 40, and you got to run a mile, and you got to see how much you can bench press, and so you start all your little tests. And they do that to kind of get you ready for when you come back in the fall. So they give you a somewhat of a makeshift playbook for us to start learning the offense. I was excited. I was ready to go.
Yeah, I imagine so. What a world.
Yeah.
And you played for how long?
I played 6 years. I played my first 3 with Atlanta Falcons. I got cut at the end of training camp on my 4th year. I got picked up the next day by the Dallas Cowboys. I played that year with them. Only signed a 1-year deal, so I kind of went out on the open market, signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and played 2 years there.
Always as a tackle?
Always as a tackle, right or left.
Yeah. And offensive tackle, you're protecting the quarterback, right?
That is correct.
Who are some of the quarterbacks that you protected?
Well, Steve Burkowski was still with Atlanta my first year, and then Dave Archer was my second and third year. Danny White was at the Dallas Cowboys, and Mark Malone was at the Steelers. I had met a gentleman in Atlanta when I was playing for Atlanta. Him and I became really close. His name was Chip Street, and so when I decided to retire, I got home on a Friday night. I called him. We didn't have cell phones back in those days, so you actually had a landline. So I called him and said, "Hey, bud, I'm done. I need a job." He said, "Well, meet me up there Monday morning, I'll turn you into a pipe salesman." So that was my job interview.
Yeah.
We're just close, and we had talked about that whenever I got tired of playing.
Yeah.
And football, it's a little bit of an adjustment. You're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
When you go back to a career, it's kind of you. I had a lot of support when I was on a team.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't trade my career for anything. The good Lord put me in the right place at the right time. I met a wonderful wife. Been married 38 years. So.
How many children do you have?
I have two. I have a daughter. Her name's Katie. And I have a son named Sam. He actually works for me. I'm gonna make him into a pipe salesman.
Has he been an athlete?
He was an athlete. He played in Cabot. His 10th grade year, he decided not to play football because he's a basketball player. He wanted to go all basketball. He had opportunities to play at several smaller schools, and he just didn't really want to do that. So his career was over at the end of high school.
Yeah. Grandkids?
No grandkids.
Yeah.
No grandkids. Not yet.
So do you mentor anybody or help with any teams or anything, just as an individual?
Yeah, I've got, especially at the Pee Wee level, I've got a lot of guys ask me to help them put together an offense or defense package, so they can help teach them so they can teach the kids.
Yeah.
And I'll usually go spend a few days, especially early on, making sure they're comfortable in what we discussed and how we wrote it out, and so on and so forth. But I've helped with Cabot High School some, in some of the smaller universities around from time to time through the years. They would bring me in just to kind of watch, observe, tell them what I think. One thing I do know is football.
Yeah. So from your perspective, it's been, you retired in 90?
89.
89?
At the end of 89. It's so much different now than what we played back in the 80s. Because of concussions, and I'm not going to get into whether I agree or disagree with all the rules nowadays, but they, we could hit people back in the day.
Yeah.
They don't do much hitting anymore. but it's okay. I mean, I'm not so sure it's for the good. I'm kind of got different opinions on that, but the game's changed a lot. They're bigger, stronger, faster. You know, I'm a pretty good sized man, but now they're all 6'8", 330. So, you know, they're getting, and they're faster. You know, and the game has changed a lot. It's evolved a lot. I have recently been put in the Hall of Fame at Southern Miss.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a big feat.
Yeah.
They also, 7 years ago, had a team of the century. They turned 100, Southern Miss did, and so they picked a football team of the century, and I was the starting right tackle.
Well, that's great. I'm so glad you're telling me that. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
In my mind, it's a big accomplishment. There's a lot of good football players going through there.
Yeah.
And for me to be chosen for that is just really tickled me to death. I think 6 of us off the team that I played on in the 80s that made this list. So that'll tell you what kind of players we had.
So you said you went to some bowl games. Which ones?
We played in the Tangerine Bowl. We played in the Citrus Bowl, and we also played in the one in Louisiana. Can't think of the name of it. Independence Bowl.